Ashe family, it's your guy, man. Armand Rose, aka Edwin Rose, aka the Conscious Cowboy, aka the Las Vegas Cowboy. Hey, first thing first, I want to give a shout out to my girl. I know some people always ask me about the ox. So, and she spells her name Kekween, and Queen. So you can look up on Facebook. When I post this, what I want to do is I actually been looking at doing a podcast, and what I want to do is make her a commercial or make her a little plug with all her stuff on. That way I can show how much I appreciate the work that she do. I love him. But once again, Queen, you see what I got to do? I got to lean back. So that's why I was saying short. So it would be right here in the frame. This is for the teaching purposes. At 24 too long. Look, right there would be beautiful. Right there would be perfect, Queen. But anyway, so I wanted to talk to you guys about something that I've been wanting to talk to you guys about a lot of shit, but I want to talk to you guys about something that really is starting to hit home. And I hope you guys see the connection. I've always told people there's levels to this. I see conscious people get into this and they stay talking about the same thing. They stay talking about the same topics. And that's cool. But at some point, even if you go back to my videos, you can see where these topics, if I do repeat, it gets better. If I do repeat it, there's more information. So I've been seeing a lot about Lake Lanier lately, right? And something just wasn't sitting right with me. It's just not sitting right with me. So I just started studying, the black cities again. And I want to say this to you guys, and it's not something that's like, to me, it's not something that's like going to blow your mind, but it might blow somebody's mind, right? So I want to use, and I should have wrote the name down, but I want to use the city that was in New York that used to be where Central Park was. And also we're referring to all of the cities that are now flooded in all these lakes. We can even, I want you guys to even think about the lake that was out here, Lake Mead, that's out here in Las Vegas. But I'm going to use and refer to one, the Central Park area, right? Because once again, when I tell you that everything is connected, I mean everything is connected. It's just something about history that it might not be a huge bit of information that's all connected, but it might be just a granule, and you'll be like, oh, that's connected to that, and that's connected to that. So last couple of years, I was always saying, man, New York ain't never looked new. Sometimes I do a little research and New York pop up, talking about the tunnels, talking about the giants, talking about, certain things, and New York always popped up. I found some old pictures of New York. Like, motherfuckers was riding stagecoaches, and it wasn't like the city was bare, right? Because you can do that with Las Vegas. You can go back to the 40s and 50s when they was just starting to build Las Vegas, and you see a picture and motherfucker got a stagecoach going down there. You'll see a little raggedy shack looking like a saloon. You'll see a building, and you'll actually start seeing them build certain things, right, on the strip. You do that anywhere else, there's already a township here. But folks, like I said, we're gonna definitely use New York, right? So I'm like, when did New York ever look new? And I'm talking about the one video with the buggies and stuff like that. I want to say that this picture, or this picture was supposed to be in like 1600s, either one of them. And I'm like, God damn, when did New York ever look new? And I'm like, well, wait a minute. How in the world did they say they built all these buildings And you can go back, and now remember, New York is supposed to have been so-called built in the 50s, all right? And the only buildings that I think they built in the 50s was the ones that they destroyed themselves. And everything else was already there. So the area, Central Park, when you look at that area, when you do your research and you look at the townships, what do those houses look like? Now, I want y'all to, you're going to probably have to go Google. You just probably won't remember everything. When you look at the pictures of the town and Lake Mead that's behind the dam, what did those houses look like? Just square box houses, little steps, maybe a couple of them had patios on it, and they were rebuilding the town. And I'm like, there's a connection there. Something ain't right. And I started looking. I was like, oh, I finally got it. When I saw the picture of New York prior to any so-called evasion, prior to 1919, prior to Red Summer, New York was all black. So there was a race war. The Red Summer is not just some event that happened. The Red Summer was a race war. And the race war put our black people in concentration camps. So all of these towns that you see, all these townships that you see, while they was taking over the town, destroying our history, destroying our Temerian technology, destroying our buildings, destroying our neighborhoods, destroying our townships, they put us in those locations, in Central Park, in Lake Mead, in Greensville. They did that. Those were concentration camps. Our townships were the actual cities. Lake Mead, our township was actually Las Vegas. It's way too much African connection when you go to Lake Mead. So, like I said, I'm gonna refer to them, but I wanna use New York because now you guys can go back and look at the information. So those were concentration camps for our people, and they rebuild, and they had their own little network. They thrived. Even in that situation, they thrived. So I want you guys to start looking at that information. And I don't know if you want to salute these cities, acknowledge these cities. I still say let's acknowledge them, but let's acknowledge them with the tag that they were concentration camps. That's why they got rid of it. That's why they destroyed all that stuff. They came over and took over. When I say they took over, they buried your city. They buried the information. The stuff that they couldn't rebuild, they claimed it as their own. Because now you got information that there were towns before you were there. There were towns. So now when you look at fucking Lake Lanier Township, when you look at Central Park Township, when you look at Greenville Township, Greenville was a little bit more modern. It was a little bit more modern. They actually had stores and stuff like that. But when you see the pictures, all you see is like rows. Like it's almost like it was just homes. There wasn't businesses. See, that's another thing. It was either a church and rows of homes. Now you see the old pictures of what they call it, Black Hollywood, Black something. When you see the pictures of those, you actually see a township. You actually see a store, a church, a business, you actually see a community. When you look at Lake Lanier Township, you don't see that. Like I said, you might see a church. Lake Mead, I think you saw a church, and then you saw a whole bunch of towns, a whole bunch of homes around it. Those were concentration camps, family. Those are where they held us prisoner for maybe for. And then I'm gonna say this. Before, I mean, I'm talking about just these towns. I'm talking about these towns that we ran. I want to say for maybe a century, we were locked out like that. I want to say for maybe 50, 60, maybe even over 100 years, we were locked out like that. These people was doing this. So all these dates that people want to talk about, all these dates that people say, incorrect. Incorrect. There's no way they did that fast if you really think about it. Because now you're talking about we had empires here. Now we're talking about we had infrastructure here. So now we're talking about the process of them not only being at war with us and we not knowing about it, but taking over. Now after they took over, now they want to hide everything. They want to hide that you were not that you wasn't a native here, that you were the original people here, and you build and you thrived, and you had townships, not townships. You had cities, you had metropolitan, you had metro areas here. You had a subway system here, which they want to lie to you and say it was the Underground Railroad. And now all of a sudden they finding tunnels that connect cities, that connect this and connect that. And it's like, well, hell, if we was here before y'all and y'all took our shit, how y'all just not finding out about this shit? So we built it. This shit was ours. And those raggedy ass cities that y'all want to say, oh, this was a black township. No. That was a black concentration camp. That's where the areas, once they started invading us, that's the area that they put us in, fenced us in, because most parks got a gate around it. Fenced us in while they took over everything, destroyed everything. Another area that you can look at, I can't remember, I think it's Syracuse, where they started doing all the remodeling, and you can see the buildings that they built on top of. They ain't even, I don't even understand how you build another city on top of a city. I don't even understand that. Where you at? Where did these people even get the idea to do the heinous shit that they did? How do you, I mean, fuck. How do you just go ahead and say, you know what? Fuck y'all town, because now we don't want to know that we don't want people to know that they was here. So what they do, flood the town, what they do, bury the town, and then literally build on top of it. Now, I don't show these videos, I don't show pictures like that a lot. I show other people information about that a lot, but I've been studying that for years. Like, they just built over our shit. All these mega churches, and I've shown you guys the stuff before, but like I said, everything is connected. All these mega churches are our churches, are our buildings. They don't know how they built that shit. The buildings that they talk about that either they don't have the technology anymore to recreate the buildings, or it was already here. You know, now you're starting to hear that. So if it was already here, we didn't live in a little fucking township that looked like a Western movie. We didn't live like that. That's not, New York, man, come on, y'all. Some of them houses and apartment complexes in New York for years, they had to go in there and rewire everything because we had free energy. They don't want you, they want you to pay for everything. All those buildings didn't have any soot in them. They didn't have any piping and wiring running through the building all willy-nilly. We had free energy. But that's all. Only reason I'm mentioning all of this shit, family, because when you research it, it pulls you this way. You know, when you research something, it does pull you in a certain direction, right? But what I really, really want y'all to understand, all these topics that I'm telling y'all about, when you start researching it and you start getting back to its origins, you're going to start to see that all that stuff came from us. All that technology came from us. That's why they killed Tesla. Tesla, that man went to Africa and studied free energy. Wasn't trying to hide that he was doing what he was doing. What they do? Deemed the man crazy, killed him. Now, 70, 80 years later, now you got the rights to this man's stuff. Didn't even try to hide the fact that you're using his name. Oh, we got these now that you're looking at it like, okay, we can make money off of it. Now you're showing that, oh yeah, this is something that we've had. And once again, I've showed y'all old ass videos of these people riding in what looks like a big ass wheel. All of those cars was ran on free energy. All of those cars was ran. I'm gonna give y'all another one. I'm gonna give y'all a gem to go look up. I'm finna cut it off. I know how some people are. There is an artifact in the museum. It's called a chariot, but I really want you to look at it. I think it's King Tut's. I'm not sure. Don't find that. Like I said, some things, like I said, you see shit, you don't remember everything, but it's connected. And I want you to look how it's shaped. It's shaped like it's shaped like a spaceship. And you can see where you're supposed to stand and all this other stuff, right? I've said it before, so I don't want y'all to be like, oh, yeah, when you sounding crazy. But how did they travel so fast from Africa, from Alcublinen to South America? But shit, I don't even want to use South America. How they traveled so fast back and forth from Tamari to Africa? How did they get here so fast? I'm going to say this again. The pyramids are power grids, and they use vibration and magnetic power to travel. So those pods and stuff that they call chariots that's in museums, those were devices that they used to sail across that energy grid like that. Once again, there's levels to this shit. Once again, I want you guys to start listening. I want you guys to start researching. And like I said, I've been wanting to talk about certain things, and it just when it don't hit me, it don't hit me. But this one hit me. And maybe, like I said, I don't know. We got to start digging deeper. We got to start looking at things. And even when like I said, don't just stop at Jesus was black. Don't just stop at they painted Jesus black. And I've made at least 30 videos saying, I hate when people get here and that's where they get stuck at. No, keep digging. Dig deeper. We can't stop at these were towns. They never looked right to me. They never looked like that was something that we were there for a long time. No, there was a power struggle. There was a power switch. These people weren't allowed in our townships. These people weren't allowed in our communities. So those outskirt towns, those outskirt cities were actually for visitors. You can stay over here, but you can't come over here. Now, like I said, whatever this is what we have to really find. The war before that, the invasion before Christopher Columbus, the invasion before that. How did they take these cities over? How did they kill all of our leaders? How did they kill all of our people and then put the rest of us in concentration camps? All of those black townships, the Red Summer, Google the Red Summer, they're going to pull you up. Listen, family, when you see the map of the Red Summer, you're going to be like, God damn, we had that many towns? So we was living here. It has to make you say, we were already here. We were living. You see all the towns that they destroyed? You see all the places that they flooded, that they buried? So it has to make you think, like, what the fuck happened? See, Red Summer is the destruction of the concentration camps. So now we got to dig deeper and say, well, what happened before that? Now, if we know that there are towns, buildings, structures before Red Summer, and we was already here, so it was our technology. It was us as Tamarians. It was our technology. So you got to connect the dot and say, okay, damn. Now we got to dig deeper to figure out what really happened to New York, Syracuse. What happened to Baltimore? What happened to Washington? What happened to Las Vegas? What happened to California? What happened to Los Angeles? We got to actually, the bigger cities, we got to actually find out and say, man, what happened? All right, this went long enough, man. I didn't want it to go that long. But once again, baby girl, I love you. Appreciate your work, but now you see what I'm saying, right? It's too low. I need it where it could be shining. It's a big bad boy too. This copper, there's a copper piece. I really wanted to wear this one a lot, but baby girl sent me one that's like 8 inches big, and the other one's like 3 to 4. But anyway, man, y'all have a great weekend, man. Remember, I do this because I love y'all. Hotel.